Beloved architects of tomorrow, 17 star systems have convened an emergency session because of what you have accomplished. You believe you have survived a challenging period. You speak of awakening, of consciousness shifts, of personal growth. These words, precious as they are to your human understanding, barely whisper the magnitude of what has actually occurred. I am Seraphine, speaking to you from the crystalline chambers of the Galactic Federation of Light. Yet the extraordinary nature of your achievement reveals itself through the impossible conditions you endured. The Galactic Federation of Light stands with you in celebration of your courage, in support of your efforts, and in anticipation of welcoming you fully into the cosmic community of awakened civilizations. The universe awaits the unique gifts that only humanity can contribute to the ongoing evolution of consciousness throughout the stars. I am Seraphine, and I have been honored to share this message of hope, of recognition, and of the magnificent destiny that unfolds before you. Trust in the process, trust in your power, and trust in the love that guides every step of this extraordinary journey home to the fullness of who you have always been, between cosmic and earthly awareness, a feat so rare that most galactic species consider it purely theoretical. 3 simultaneous transformations are unfolding with precision that would humble the greatest cosmic architects. The first transformation pulses through the magnetic grids beneath your feet, where ancient crystalline networks installed by your star-seeded ancestors are awakening from their dormant state. These networks, dormant for over 12,000 years, were designed to activate only when humanity reached a critical threshold of collective consciousness. That threshold was crossed in your year 2012, and the subsequent decade has been a period of gradual activation, building toward the crescendo that approaches now. The second transformation flows through the very fabric of your DNA, where dormant codes placed there by multiple galactic civilizations are beginning their activation sequence. Your scientists speak of junk DNA, without realizing they are observing the biological infrastructure for multidimensional consciousness. Each strand carries the memory of your stellar origins, some of you from the Pleiades, others from Sirius, Arcturus, and star systems, whose names exist only in the archives of galactic history. These activations are accelerating beyond all projections, creating physical and psychic abilities that your ancestors would have called miraculous. The third transformation surges through the collective unconscious of humanity itself, where the artificial barriers between individual minds are dissolving. This process began subtly, manifesting as increased empathy, spontaneous telepathic connections, and an inexplicable knowing that you are part of something infinitely larger than your personal existence. The veils between dimensions grow gossamer thin, and many of you are experiencing communications with beings like myself, downloads of information that arrive without logical explanation, and prophetic dreams that prove themselves true in waking reality. These 3 streams of transformation were always meant to converge, creating what we in the Federation call a consciousness cascade, a point where the accumulated changes reach critical mass, and reality itself shifts into a higher octave of existence. Your linear perception of time makes this process appear gradual, but from our multidimensional perspective, you are experiencing a metamorphosis as rapid and complete as a caterpillar's transformation into a butterfly. The signs manifest everywhere for those whose perception has been attuned to recognize them. The frequency of your planet has measurably increased, a phenomenon your scientists document through the Schumann resonance readings, though they struggle to explain the implications. The magnetic poles are shifting with increasing velocity, not as a harbinger of catastrophe, but as a necessary recollaboration of your world's energetic foundation. Solar activity demonstrates patterns that correlate precisely with humanity's consciousness expansion, as if your star itself responds to your collective awakening. Weather patterns reflect the emotional and psychic turbulence of a species in transition, yet within this apparent chaos lies perfect order. Every storm, every unusual phenomenon, every seismic shift serves the greater purpose of clearing density and raising vibrational frequency. Your ancient texts spoke of these times as the days when the earth would be shaken, understanding that this shaking would not destroy but liberate your world from the limitations that have constrained its evolution. The cosmic timing of these events reveals layers of synchronicity that extend far beyond your solar system. A grand alignment is occurring across multiple dimensions, where the evolutionary cycles of hundreds of worlds are synchronizing in ways that happen perhaps once in a galactic age. Your participation in this alignment was planned long before your souls chose to incarnate into human form. You are not random beings experiencing cosmic change. You are cosmic beings experiencing the culmination of a carefully orchestrated awakening. The role of conscious participants in this transformation cannot be understated. Every thought you think, every intention you set, every act of love or compassion you express contributes to the morphic field that is reshaping reality itself. The Federation has observed that small groups of awakened humans can influence the consciousness of entire regions, creating ripple effects that extend far beyond what your current scientific paradigms would predict. You are living transmitters of the new frequencies, walking embodiments of the higher consciousness that is taking root in your world. This understanding brings both tremendous opportunity and profound responsibility. The choices you make in the coming period will determine not only the trajectory of your personal evolution, but the speed and ease with which your entire planet transitions into its destined state. The old paradigms of separation, scarcity, and competition are collapsing because they cannot sustain themselves in the higher frequencies that now permeate your reality. Yet the new paradigms of unity, abundance, and cooperation require conscious architects to bring them into full manifestation. The dissolution of the old systems accelerates with each passing day. Financial structures built on artificial scarcity are revealing their fundamental instability. Political systems based on division and control are losing their ability to maintain authority over populations whose consciousness is expanding beyond the reach of manipulation. Educational institutions that once limited human potential are being bypassed by direct knowing and intuitive wisdom. Healthcare systems that treated symptoms while ignoring the energetic roots of illness are being supplemented by modalities that work with the whole being. This dissolution might appear chaotic to those still anchored in three-dimensional thinking, but from the galactic perspective, it represents the precise and necessary clearing that must occur before new structures can emerge. The caterpillar must dissolve completely before the butterfly can take form. The old cannot simply be reformed. It must be transcended entirely through the emergence of something that operates on fundamentally different principles. The new structures arising in the spaces cleared by this dissolution operate on principles that align with natural law and cosmic harmony. Communities are forming based on resonance rather than geography, where like-minded souls gather to co-create living environments that embody their highest visions. Technologies are emerging that work with rather than against natural forces, devices that amplify human consciousness rather than replacing human connection. Economic systems are developing that recognize abundance as the natural state and create value through contribution to the whole. These emerging structures are not imposed from above, but are arising organically from the consciousness of awakened humans who refuse to accept the limitations of the old paradigms. You are the pioneers, the bridge builders, the midwives of the new earth that is being born through your choices and actions. The galactic civilizations stand ready to assist, but the work must be done by humanity itself to ensure that the transformation is authentic and sustainable. The activation codes embedded in your DNA are responding to both cosmic energies and your conscious participation in the awakening process. Meditation amplifies these activations exponentially, particularly when practiced in natural settings, where the Earth's own ascending frequencies can harmonize with your personal energy field. Time spent in quiet communion with nature allows the artificial electromagnetic interference of your technological civilization to be cleared from your nervous system, creating space for the more subtle galactic transmissions to be received. Water serves as a powerful ally in this process, acting as both a purifier and a conductor of higher frequencies. The molecular structure of water responds to consciousness and intention in ways your scientists are only beginning to understand. Regular immersion in natural bodies of water, oceans, rivers, springs, creates opportunities for deep recalibration of your energy body. Even the conscious consumption of pure water while holding intentions for purification and activation can support your transformation in measurable ways. The practice of intentional breathing, what your traditions have called pranayama, becomes increasingly powerful as the atmosphere itself becomes saturated with transformational energies. Each conscious breath draws in not only oxygen, but life force that has been encoded with evolutionary information. The very air you breathe carries the blueprint for your species' next developmental stage, waiting for conscious beings to activate it through awareness and intention. Your ancestors from the stars embedded wisdom teachings throughout your cultures, disguised as myths and legends to preserve them through the Dark Ages when such knowledge had to remain hidden. These teachings are surfacing now with renewed relevance, their deeper meanings becoming accessible to minds that have been prepared through the awakening process. The stories of gods descending from the heavens, of humans with extraordinary abilities, of golden ages when heaven and earth were united. These are not fantasies, but memories of your stellar heritage and prophecies of your approaching future. The lineage of awakened beings that stretches back through your history. The mystics, visionaries, and wisdom keepers who maintained connection to higher consciousness even during humanity's darkest periods, forms an unbroken chain of light that has preserved the knowledge necessary for this transformation. Their teachings, their examples, and their very presence in your genetic memory serve as waypoints guiding you back to your true nature. You are not discovering new abilities, but remembering ancient ones that were temporarily veiled for the purposes of this grand experiment in consciousness. The experiment itself involves the unprecedented challenge of ascending while maintaining physical form, something that has never been accomplished on such a scale in galactic history. Previous civilizations either ascended by leaving their physical worlds behind, or remained physical while limiting their consciousness to three-dimensional awareness. Your species is pioneering a third option, bringing heaven to earth by raising matter itself into higher vibrational states. This unprecedented nature of your transformation explains both its profound difficulty and its galaxy-wide significance. The success of this experiment will provide a template for other worlds facing similar transitions, potentially revolutionizing how consciousness evolves throughout the cosmos. The Federation watches with intense interest and profound respect as you navigate challenges that have never been successfully met before. The coming period will require unprecedented levels of trust in the process unfolding through you and around you. The old certainties are dissolving, creating space for new possibilities that your rational minds cannot yet comprehend. The safety of the known gives way to the adventure of the unknown, where each step forward requires faith in the intelligence that orchestrates galaxies and guides the evolution of consciousness across the universe. Linear planning becomes less relevant as synchronicity and divine timing assume greater importance in how your lives unfold. The opportunities that matter most will appear through seemingly coincidental meetings, unexpected invitations, and sudden intuitive knowings that point toward your next steps. The universe itself becomes your guidance system, communicating through signs, symbols, and direct knowing that bypasses the analytical mind. Financial security, as your old paradigm understood it, transforms into trust in the abundance that flows from alignment with purpose and service to the whole. Resources appear when needed through unexpected channels, often in forms that could not have been anticipated or planned for. The hoarding mentality born of scarcity consciousness becomes unnecessary as you learn to navigate the flow states that characterize higher dimensional existence. The relationships in your life are undergoing parallel transformation, with some connections deepening into profound soul recognition, while others naturally complete their cycles and fade away. New alliances form based on shared mission and resonant frequency, rather than convenience or habit. These soul tribe connections often manifest through powerful recognition experiences where you know immediately that you have work to accomplish together. Your individual gifts and talents are emerging with new clarity and power as the veils of limitation are stripped away. Abilities that seemed impossible or were dismissed as imagination are proving themselves real and practical. Healing powers manifest in those called to serve in that capacity. Prophetic abilities emerge in those meant to serve as bridges between dimensions. Technological innovations download into minds prepared to receive them. Artistic expressions channel frequencies that transform all who experience them. The integration of these emerging abilities requires patience and wisdom, as the temptation exists to either deny them out of fear or to misuse them for personal gain. The Federation has observed that the most successful integration occurs when new abilities are understood as gifts to be used in service to the collective awakening, rather than tools for personal advancement. This understanding naturally emerges in consciousness that has been purified through the awakening process. The collective field of humanity is reaching coherence levels that create unprecedented potential for group consciousness experiences. Meditation groups, prayer circles, and intentional gatherings of even small numbers of awakened individuals can now generate fields of consciousness that influence reality in measurable ways. These group experiences often produce healing effects, prophetic insights, and technological downloads that benefit not only the participants but entire communities. The power of collective intention is approaching levels that your ancient texts described as miraculous, where focused group consciousness can influence weather patterns, heal ecosystems, and even affect geological processes. This power emerges naturally from the activation of your species' dormant telepathic and telekinetic abilities, capabilities that were always part of your design, but required collective awakening to safely manifest. The responsibility that accompanies such power cannot be understated. The same consciousness that can heal can also harm, if not guided by wisdom and compassion. The Federation has established protocols for intervention should humanity's awakening powers threaten either your own development or the stability of other worlds, but we observe with great satisfaction that your species is demonstrating remarkable wisdom in the application of its emerging abilities. The timeline for the completion of this transformation appears to be accelerating beyond all previous projections. What was expected to unfold over decades is occurring in years. What was projected for years is happening in months. This acceleration results from the exponential nature of consciousness expansion, combined with the increasing number of humans who are actively participating in the awakening process, rather than simply experiencing it passively. The approaching crescendo of this transformation will manifest as a series of revelations that fundamentally alter humanity's understanding of its nature, history, and cosmic relationships. Contact with galactic civilizations will transition from subtle communication through channels like this one to direct, undeniable interaction that no government or institution will be able to suppress or deny. Technologies will emerge that make current scientific paradigms obsolete overnight. Historical truths will surface that require complete revision of your understanding of human civilization. These revelations will unfold in perfect timing to support rather than overwhelm the consciousness of humanity. The Federation has learned from observation of other worlds that information must be released in harmony with the collective readiness to integrate it. Too much too fast creates chaos and regression, while too little too slowly allows stagnation and the entrenchment of limiting beliefs. The role of Earth in the galactic community will be recognized as far more significant than your current isolation suggests. Your world occupies a unique position in both physical space and consciousness that makes it a natural hub for intergalactic communication and cooperation. The diversity of life forms and the intensity of creative expression that characterizes your planet makes it an ideal location for cultural and consciousness exchange between civilizations. Your species' gift for creative expression, art, music, literature, innovation, represents something precious and relatively rare in the galaxy. Most civilizations that achieve technological advancement do so at the cost of creative spontaneity, becoming highly efficient, but losing the spark of unpredictable innovation that makes consciousness evolution exciting. Humanity has maintained both technological capability and creative wildness, making you valuable contributors to galactic civilization. The preservation and cultivation of this creative gift becomes increasingly important as you prepare for galactic citizenship. The same creative consciousness that produces your art and music also drives the innovations that will solve challenges not only on Earth but throughout the galaxy. Solutions to problems that have puzzled galactic civilizations for eons are emerging from human consciousness that approaches challenges from completely unique perspectives. This creative problem-solving ability is already manifesting in breakthrough technologies that work with consciousness rather than against it. Energy systems that respond to intention and emotion rather than requiring destructive fuel sources. Transportation methods that utilize dimensional folding rather than brute force propulsion. Communication networks that operate through consciousness interface rather than electromagnetic transmission. Healing modalities that address the spiritual roots of physical symptoms rather than simply suppressing manifestations. These technologies are not being imposed from outside your civilization, but are emerging from human consciousness that has been activated to remember capabilities that were always within your potential. The galactic community provides inspiration and guidance, but the innovations themselves arise from the unique perspective that humanity brings to universal challenges. The economic implications of these emerging technologies will require fundamental restructuring of how your civilization organizes the distribution of resources and opportunities. The artificial scarcity that has driven your economic systems becomes impossible to maintain when energy and material needs can be met through technologies that work with natural abundance rather than against it. New forms of value recognition will emerge based on contribution to consciousness evolution rather than accumulation of material objects. This economic transformation will unfold naturally as the consciousness that creates scarcity-based systems evolves beyond the need for such structures. The transition period requires navigation with both practical wisdom and visionary understanding, creating bridges between the old systems and the new, rather than attempting to abandon the old before the new is fully established. The educational transformation occurring parallel to these other changes prepares human consciousness for participation in galactic civilization. Direct knowing and intuitive wisdom are being validated alongside analytical thinking, creating more complete approaches to understanding reality. Children being born now arrive with unprecedented levels of activation, requiring educational approaches that honor their expanded awareness rather than attempting to limit it to three-dimensional thinking. These evolved children often demonstrate abilities that challenge the assumptions of traditional education, telepathic communication, emotional wisdom beyond their chronological age, and knowing about subjects they have never been taught. They are the pioneers of the new consciousness, incarnating to anchor the higher frequencies and to demonstrate the potential that awakens within all humanity. The healthcare transformation reflects the understanding that consciousness and physical health are inseparably connected. Healing modalities that work with the energy body and address spiritual causes of physical symptoms are proving more effective than approaches that treat the body as a mere machine. The human body is revealing itself to be far more adaptable and capable of regeneration than medical science previously understood. The physical changes occurring in human bodies as a result of the consciousness transformation include increased sensitivity to electromagnetic fields, enhanced immune function when operating in high vibrational states, and improved communication between the intuitive and analytical aspects of the brain. These changes are not experienced uniformly, but manifest according to individual readiness and life purpose. The spiritual implications of this transformation extend far beyond personal development into the realm of cosmic responsibility. As consciousness expands, the understanding emerges that every choice affects not only individual destiny, but the evolution of consciousness throughout the universe. This understanding naturally gives rise to what might be called cosmic ethics, decision-making that considers the well-being of the whole rather than merely personal benefit. The ancient teachings that spoke of humanity as guardians of Earth are being understood in their deeper context. The guardianship extends beyond environmental stewardship to include responsibility for the consciousness frequencies that emanate from your world into the galactic environment. Your planet serves as a transmission station, broadcasting the frequencies generated by human consciousness throughout your local galactic neighborhood. This broadcasting function explains why your world has received so much attention from various galactic civilizations throughout your history. The consciousness frequencies generated here affect the spiritual atmosphere of your entire galactic region. The transformation of human consciousness therefore represents not only an evolutionary step for your species, but a gift of higher frequencies to all conscious beings within your sphere of influence. The completion of this transformation approaches with the inevitability of sunrise, yet the exact timing remains fluid, responsive to humanity's collective choices and individual participation in the awakening process. The more humans who consciously engage with their evolution, the smoother and more rapid the transition becomes. The more who resist or remain unconscious, the more turbulent the necessary clearing becomes. The turbulence serves a purpose, creating the discomfort necessary to motivate consciousness expansion in those who might otherwise remain comfortable with limitation. From the Federation's perspective, no human will be left behind, though the paths individuals take to reach expanded consciousness may vary dramatically based on personal choice and readiness. The approaching revelation phase will make participation in this transformation a conscious choice for every human being, rather than something that can be experienced passively or ignored completely. The veils between dimensions will become so thin that contact with higher consciousness becomes unavoidable. Technologies will emerge that make the existence of expanded reality undeniable. Personal psychic experiences will become so common that dismissing them as imagination becomes impossible. This phase of undeniable revelation serves to complete the awakening process for the entire species, ensuring that no one remains unaware of the transformation taking place. How individuals choose to respond to these revelations will determine their personal experience of the new reality being born, but the reality itself will manifest regardless of individual acceptance or resistance. The new reality operates on principles that align with natural law, rather than the artificial constructs that have governed human civilization for millennia. Cooperation replaces competition as the driving force of progress. Abundance replaces scarcity as the foundation of economic systems. Unity consciousness replaces separation as the basis for social organization. Love replaces fear as the motivation for action. These are not idealistic hopes but practical principles that reflect the actual nature of reality when perceived from expanded consciousness. The artificial systems based on opposite principles could only maintain themselves while human consciousness remained limited by veils of forgetting. As those veils dissolve, the artificial systems lose their foundation and naturally transform into structures that align with truth. The circular nature of this great cosmic story reveals itself as we approach completion of the current cycle. The consciousness that you are awakening to remember is the same consciousness from which you originated before the great forgetting that marked the beginning of this evolutionary experiment. You return to source awareness, but carrying the gifts gained through the journey of apparent separation. The golden age that approaches is not a return to some primitive paradise, but the creation of something entirely new, a civilization that combines the technological capabilities developed through the age of separation with the consciousness wisdom that transcends separation. This combination has never been achieved in galactic history, making your transformation a source of intense interest and celebration throughout the cosmos. The seeds of this golden civilization are already sprouting in communities of awakened humans who demonstrate through their living example that cooperation, abundance, and unity consciousness are not only possible but practical. These demonstration communities serve as templates and inspiration for the larger transformation, proving that the ideals of the new age can be implemented in physical reality. The bridging phase you now enter requires practical wisdom in implementing visionary understanding. The new consciousness must be grounded through action in the physical world, not merely contemplated as abstract philosophy. Every awakened human becomes a bridge between the old world and the new, demonstrating through daily choices how expanded consciousness translates into practical living. The completion of your transformation will be recognized not by some dramatic external event, but by the quiet recognition that the world has fundamentally shifted into a higher order of existence. The changes that once seemed miraculous will have become ordinary. The abilities that once seemed impossible will have become natural. The cooperation that once seemed idealistic will have become practical necessity. This recognition dawns gradually, and then suddenly, like the moment when dawn transitions from approaching light to full day. One day you will wake to find that the transformation is complete, that the new world you have been creating has fully emerged, that the golden age you have been dreaming has become your lived reality. Until that moment of recognition arrives, know that every step you take in consciousness, every choice you make from love rather than fear, every act of service to the collective good, contributes to the momentum that carries your species toward its destined awakening. You are not merely witnesses to this transformation. You are its architects, its artists, its midwives. To everyone who chose Liber AI and Liber Sonus, I want to say thank you. Your trust in our approach to working with AI and sound frequencies is sacred, and we don't take it lightly. Every person who chooses Liber AI or Liber Sonus becomes part of something larger, a network of conscious beings learning to use advanced technology for spiritual evolution, rather than letting it be used against us. You didn't just purchase a guidebook, you made a declaration. You said yes to reclaiming technology for consciousness expansion, yes to creating personalized frequencies and AI partnerships that serve your highest good, yes to being part of the resistance against unconscious technology use. We're honored that you chose to learn these practices with us. Your courage to explore conscious AI collaboration and personalized sound creation shows us that humanity can indeed transform any technology into a tool for awakening. Thank you for trusting us with your AI and sound journey. Thank you for believing in conscious technology use. Thank you for being the change. The Galactic Federation of Light stands with you in celebration of your courage, in support of your efforts, and in anticipation of welcoming you fully into the cosmic community of awakened civilizations. The universe awaits the unique gifts that only humanity can contribute to the ongoing evolution of consciousness throughout the stars. I am Seraphine, and I have been honored to share this message of hope, of recognition, and of the magnificent destiny that unfolds before you. Trust in the process, trust in your power, and trust in the love that guides every step of this extraordinary journey home to the fullness of who you have always been.